A few years ago, I had this big coloured horse called Indy. He was a big quarter horse paint. And he'd come to me a bit later in life. He'd only recently just been gelded as an older horse, and a couple of people had already had a crack at getting him started. But he was a real cinchy, bronky type of horse when it came to saddling him. So I did my usual preparations on the ground with my ropes and moving his feet around, crossing tarps, putting balls on him and things like that. But every time I saddled him up and he felt that girth, he'd just bronk around on the end of the lead line until I moved his feet enough and he'd start to relax, and then he'd come back in and let down, and I was able to get on and just ride him around. And for the most part, he ended up being a pretty good horse. But this girthing and the cinchiness that he had every time I saddled him was there for years after. So I'd kind of run out of a few ideas, and I thought I'd contact one of my mentors, Rob, and see if he had any advice. And what he said is that the horse had started to learn just a bit of a pattern. That he gets saddled, he brucks around with the saddle on, you move him around on the end of the lead line, and when he relaxes, you bring him in and you both get on and ride like as if it's part of the deal, part of the routine. So he said maybe what you could try is getting him to put his front feet on one side of a log and his back feet on the other side of the log, so that he straddled it, and then saddle him while he's straddling the log. All right, so I did that, got him straddling the log, put the saddle on him and cinched it up, and he got tight like he did, but he hadn't moved his feet yet. And then I just stepped off to the side and led him forward with my lead line, and he kind of fumbled over the log with his back feet, and he sort of stopped and turned and faced me. And so I asked him to go back the other way across the log, and he got a little bit tight, but he sort of fumbled over the log that way, and I sent him back a third time, and he crossed it pretty good the third time. So I decided just to head on out, and with my stick, I just sent him forward and got him trotting around. And within a few minutes, he'd been trotting around and he hadn't bucked. And I think what had happened is that I'd just changed his pattern about those first couple of strides and having to think more about the log than he did about the cinch. I did this for quite a few weeks, and even though it never completely got rid of the tightness, it definitely changed the pattern. And if I'd kept him for a little bit longer, I probably would have thought of other ways to have done that. But what I got from this story was, what I got from this lesson was, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. So sometimes what we do is we build a pattern or a habit that both I have and the horse has, and we just kind of kept going through the same routine where he started to think that I actually wanted him to buck every time I saddled him. But as that started to change, you realise that wasn't the case, and slowly but surely that pattern changed. So just remember, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. So sometimes think more outside the box.